Welcome to another episode of Beyond the Final Whistle with myself, Usanani Mangisa. This week it's bound to be exciting. We've got the Springboks rugby match to review, and I know the guys are feeling a little bit hot under the collar to say what they need to say. Please join in the conversation at Grid Sports and hashtag Beyond the Final Whistle. Guys, we've got France coming up, and they're going to be tough. France at home are generally just tough. We have to win this game, and I say have to in the sports frame is that when you come off a loss, you really want to get the next one. What kind of changes do we need to make this weekend to make sure that we just, first of all, we'll talk personnel, and then within that personnel, just in the game.
Yeah, it's a pity we actually lost that England test, because I would have call it experiments on this one. But basically what I'll do, I'll just restore order again. So Willie comes back, Faf comes back. From the loose trio side, look, there you've got the option of flow, but I don't know. That can be Rassie's decision, but that's what I'll do. And then I'd actually just stick to the current game we've been playing. In the games we played, the game against Australia in Port Elizabeth, and even the game against the All Blacks at Loftus, and even Wellington, we showed that we have a very clear plan of how we want to play. And when we play like that, we execute well. I think a key thing, as what Sis was saying this weekend, is that the platform which you're using to attack, which was the lineouts, was actually going wrong. And that then starts having knock-on effects to other things. And then again, in the back line, because Faf has almost been marshalling more than what Pollard has, all of a sudden he's not there. Pollard now is back in the quarterbacking role, but he hasn't actually owned that particular position, which is something I've been screaming for the whole season, that he really needs to own that thing, because he is a 10 and he's got more vision than the 9, so he should be calling that. Then you've got your main strike weapon, Willie Leroux, who wasn't available, but now he's back. So what I would do is that I'd bring back Willie, I'd bring back Faf, and I think based on that, order should be restored again. The thing I'm concerned about, though, with a team like France is that France don't really play rugby. France spoil. And what we've seen is that once games sort of lose shape a bit, like the England one, even the one against Australia, we tend to mimic that and lose our shape ourselves. So that's the only real concern I'd have with France. But I'm still really confident that we should put easy 20 over France and actually just restore order.
So I think we've spoken about this a little bit. Sia came off in the 63rd minute, and just knowing what crucial moments we had after that. Who's making the calls after Sia goes off?
It's a really difficult one to have an opinion on, but we all seeing
from what we're seeing, not team
100%.
Team dynamics. From what we see,
so we all seeing what is happening. So every time a decision needs to be made, the guys come around and they sort of give their opinion on what they think should happen, or give their 2 cents, and then Sia makes the decision afterwards. There comes a time where, or there will be a time where Sia needs to sort of step back and own the captain role. Whether it's by force, telling the guys, listen, please step off. This is how we're gonna do it, and that's final. That's something maybe they need to do in the background, and then obviously on any given Saturday afternoon. But it's really a tough one for me, because what we're seeing every game is exactly that there's a lot of opinions from his teammates on how to make decisions.
Yeah, for sure. But even when he comes off, I didn't see Warren take a stand on Saturday. I didn't.
My first concern, Sans, is that even him as a captain coming off in the 65th minute doesn't really sit well with me. Because from my understanding of a rugby team, the hierarchy is the coach and his coaching staff, and then the boss on the field is the captain. Now I've got a real problem when I'm in a tight game, in Wellington against the All Blacks, at Loftus against the All Blacks, and at Twickenham against England, and I'm comfortable to pull off my leader, who is actually supposed to marshal and pull my guys together. So I think that's my first concern, is that let's give the captain opportunity to actually really lead the guys for a full 80 minutes. I mean, I'm not a big fan of this whole thing that players are emptying the tank after 60 minutes, 40 minutes, whatever. I mean, as a captain, then for me, it says that your fitness level must be that you finish 80 minutes. Because in the 65th minute when I pull you, okay, I mean, those are the championship rounds of the game. That's when the All Black team actually step up. That's when you need a leader and calm head to say, guys, stick to the basics. Here's what our plan is. Let's just go execute against it. Or guys, our plan is not working, so we're going to revert to plan B or C or whatever plan it is, and that's how we're going to get over these guys. And I felt that once we got to the last 10 minutes against that England team, I mean, we were a much better team than England, okay? And we still had ball, but what we lacked was clear direction and assertiveness in terms of who's calling the shots and what are we doing. I mean, go look at the last, call it 3 minutes, call it from the 78th to the 82nd when we lost the ball.
Yeah.
We're running phases, but all of a sudden our shape is lost. But also there's no one marshalling, and that's where again I go back again to the pivot role that now you move Pollard to 12, so it's no longer his problem. You bring Elton into our earlier discussion. He's been wearing a suit the whole time, okay? So he can't really also get in there and actually start commanding people to do whatever. So I think that for me is the biggest concern about pulling your captain in the 65th minute. I mean, historically, if you look at it, I don't remember a lot of captains not finishing rugby games. The only time really where you'd see the captain being pulled off is once you know that the game is shut, we've won, and I can pull my captain off. So that kind of thing happens. But if the game's on the line, okay, as the coach, I want my right-hand man, which is my captain, on that field for the full 80. Because once the game is over, at the press conference, it's him and I who are accountable to the people for what happened. Now, if I'm not there in those dying rounds, I can't tell you anything. You know what I mean?
He wasn't there, wasn't
No,
there?
I wasn't. I sat on the side. I saw what you saw.
See, Caesar, I'm going to touch on a player that in the past we've seen a few good things from him, and he's maybe there and thereabouts now. Jesse Creel. What is he bringing to the Springboks team, and what do we need from him to be that player?
He's bringing post-up boy. Men's
health. That's
you're asking me all the difficult
the tough ones, I know.
So Jesse, he hasn't stepped up for me this season, and maybe it's due to the fact that he isn't seen as number one. But funnily enough, he's been number one now for the past few games. Because of obviously injury. But I think his combination with Damien, I don't think they see each other. I don't think they have a strong combination. Because Damien plays a certain way, Jesse plays a certain way, and it doesn't gel for me. Damien's more direct. Jesse plays away from the ball, if you get what I mean. In my opinion, he doesn't play towards the ball, and a 13 like, for example, Ulukanyo, I think would gel better at this stage with Damien, because he plays towards the ball. But yeah, I'm really finding it difficult to have a positive opinion about Ulendu.
Jesse.
Yeah, he hasn't proved himself to me in the past couple of games.
Well, first of all, your thoughts on Jesse?
Yeah, look, I don't really have much. I think what's a bit difficult at the moment is that we really haven't got to a point where we've settled our midfield combination and we're getting regular games. And also what's not helping us is that we up and down. We win this week, we lose next week. So we still don't really know whether we're coming or going. And what I would have really liked off the rugby championship we had, that we go in, we smash the second string England team we played, we smash France, we smash Scotland, and then we go have a tough game against Wales to get that bit of consistency, but also to kind of give the guys the chances under the conditions. But to talk about Jesse Creel in terms of him as a player, look, I mean, there's nothing much I can say. I'm pretty indifferent about him. It's more of a sense of, to me, is that other than him, if you're not going to play him at 13 right now, who are you going to play while Lucanio is injured? You know, from what I've heard, apparently he's been given the responsibility to actually marshal, call it the defensive line. You know,
I hear what you're saying. It's just
even that I don't know how valuable it is.
Such he came in as an exciting player that we all wanted to see what we could get out of him. That's why I posed the question to both of you.
And you see, where I can critique him a bit is that I don't see him as a baller. I don't really rate his ball skills to the levels of a Lucanio and Anton Leonard-Brown, a Jacques Fourie, that kind of thing, where it's, okay, I am a 13, so it's either I'm going to finish or I'm going to create for the guy on my outside. Yeah.
Like I said, he plays away from the ball, and what I mean about that, he's more of an outside gap setting up on the outside type of 13 or type of outside back rather. I don't see him as a 13 at all actually, because like who Ungo says, his hands are terrible in my opinion, and that's why sometimes our wings don't get the quality ball sometimes that they deserve, is because Damien plays, you know, the setting up or the punch up role, and then there isn't anyone to offload to because Jesse's on the outside, and when he is there, he can't get the pass away because obviously.
But I also think, to be fair to Jesse here, also is that I think the kind of game plan we play is not one where our centers are called our strike players. I mean, if you see how we've been playing and how we beat the All Blacks, is that we played less with the ball, and then in the few balls we get, we rely on our back three to make those striking runs to score. So it's Cheslin's interception, it's Willie linking with Apua for tries, you know. So I mean, it's not really, call it a game that is kind of driven on my midfield is strong, we want the ball all the time so we can punch holes. You know.
Funnily enough, speaking about Willie's absence is actually very evident. It's very evident because again, that whip pass that Uhandre does to the midfield to Willie usually gets the ball to the wing, you know. And I mean, on Saturday I can't remember a time where I saw Apua you know, get the ball on the front foot. I can't remember a time that I saw Usbu as well. So yeah, it's a real problem for me.
Cool. Speaking about Apua, we've seen some great rugby from him this season. And actually, let's chat about both wingers. Is it a case of experience? It will come. Just defensively, they might have been caught wanting this weekend.
I mean, I think they were fine. Again, it's this new defensive strategy we got. I'm really excited about them. I think in them we've got a very good, call it left and right wing combination, almost the classic wing combinations of old. So your left wing is your strike runner. I'm going to go around you. I'm going to beat you inside, whatever. Whereas in your number 14 is a more aggressive guy. Okay, I'll be in the air and I'll actually give my opposition man a bit of a go. And I think no one was happier seeing Springboks come off the field than Johnny May, because he was really bullying Johnny May. He hurt him quite a couple of times in tackles and he stole a couple of balls from him. So it's actually surprising for me that Springboks, who was probably the best player we had on the field of the day, was pulled off in the 50-something minute. And then, I mean, the changes that come on for it. So now you've got two inside centers in Esther Hayes and Dialinde playing 12-13, who basically are the same kind of player. And then you're moving Jesse to the wing. So, I mean, I was a bit confused by that, but I mean, clearly Rassie knows best in terms of what he was trying to do. Maybe it was a sense of, with both these guys, then I'll actually punch holes through and hopefully score. I don't know, but it was surprising for me.
For me, Apua has come obviously on in leaps and bounds. He's improved immensely. I think his hands during this season have come on, like I said, in leaps and bounds. What I saw of him on Saturday, like I said, I mean, as a rugby player, if you've ever played rugby, you want to get your hands on the ball as soon as possible, you know. And I don't think he was in that game for me. You know, he was always, you know, defending, or he was always coming in for the clean because Damien and Jesse were obviously setting up, you know. So he was never quite in the game for me with ball in hand. So I mean, he's had a fantastic season, right? But on Saturday, I didn't see.
He was just not there.
Yeah, I didn't see enough of him with ball in hand. Then maybe on defense, obviously, where I think, although England didn't score a try because our scramble defense is quite good, but in terms of what he had to do, he struggled a bit, in my opinion, which was that being that guy that obviously comes in and makes the hit.
Right, guys, let's go to non-entity now. But penalty, no penalty, the last play?
Definitely a penalty.
Clear penalty.
Yeah.
Clear penalty. I mean, you know, rugby laws are open to interpretation. For sure. And that for me is actually where the problem lies. You know, if you listen to Angus Gardner at the end, he says he believes that there was an attempt to bring the arm around. I mean, you watch that tackle in slow mo, in full play, as a photo. He only brought his arm around when Esterhuizen was on the ground. So I don't know where he gets that that he made an attempt. So again, it's open in interpretation, and that's how a referee or him in this case will defend himself. And for me, that's where rugby laws sort of fall apart for me, because they open to.
But I also think World Rugby was
interpretation.
saving face. There was no starting there. That was a big thing for me in terms of, you can go review and go, we got this wrong.
Yeah.
But no citing is really going.
Yeah, so I think on the citing one, from what I understand, is that citing usually is done when it gets to red card level. So from that particular one, he fortunately for Farrell, he didn't hit him on the neck. He hit him, just call it, on the final line of what you're allowed to hit at.
Okay.
So it wouldn't have been a red card. Probably a penalty, and a harsh ref may have given a yellow. So I think on that particular one, World Rugby were able to not cite, because they applied that particular law that it was.
I did have a laugh though, because it was on the back of the week where World Rugby actually had a conference about on dangerous tackles.
100%. So like I said to you guys off air, if that was Ma'anonu, right, or a
Sunny
Tongan, or a Fijian hitting Farrell like that, it would have been a completely different story.
Would have gone up.
So for me, again, the rugby laws are too open for interpretation, and sometimes I think we give the referees too much leeway.
It's a pity though, because he had the full video in front of him to go, let me have a look at this, and then he.
And you see, he's not alone. It's him, it's a TMO, and it's even his assistant referee. Because it's not only, I think, a lot of people played over. There were a lot of infringements, call it, in those last 3 minutes going to that. And everyone would know that a referee's worst nightmare is having to penalize a home team in a, call it, cliffhanger situation like that. So, that's where it is tough, but the assistants are there to help each other. And I suppose that even with the referee, the assistant referees, and even the TMO, we actually failed rugby on that particular call.
Cool. Gents, looking ahead to France, players to watch out for on the French team?
Oh, geez. I wouldn't be concerned about anyone on the French team, really. They call it a 6 and 7s kind of team. Okay, they've got a couple of few runners here and there, but really, if we execute our basics well, we should just run over France.
Cool. Any score predictions?
I'd like to see the Springbok team, but
convincing win.
We all kind of know that Faf and Willie will be back. For sure, and obviously Mostert. So I'll say 10 to 20 points Springboks.
Go.
I'll go bang 1 million, say 15. Let's hope. Let's hope.
Being the middle guy you are.
Yes.
Right.
Okay.
Join in the conversations, ladies and gentlemen, at Grid Sports, #Beyond the Final Whistle. Next week looks like a good game for the Springboks to win. Holding thumbs.